$1 million, baby. $1 million, good to go. Good to go. Fake news. They're saying things, you know what I mean? They're doing scans and they're saying things, but I'm not sure I agree with them. It just felt like a fresh start, if I'm being honest. Like, I feel like, and I was saying it leading into it, I'd saying that I'd really just gone away and made some pretty huge developments, like mentally and physically, and like skill-wise. Like, all my coaches were pretty happy. So I was just looking at it as a fresh start. I knew what I was capable of doing when everything like I've known the whole time what I'm capable of doing when everything comes together. And I just feel like everything's finally come together, and it's good to have that fresh start. You know what I mean? It's just good to know you're not crazy. It's yeah, like you feel like you're the best in the world. You know what I mean? You go out there, he kicks your ass. You're gonna be like, oh shit, I'm just crazy. Like, so it's good. It's good to know. It's good to know you're just on. Like everything's come together. It's good to know that everything that you know that everyone else is starting to realize, I guess. It kind of went how I thought it was going to go. I had anticipated, like, at some point, like, him not being able to close that distance, like, he would start trying to, like, jump guard and stuff. Like, I'd thought that. Like, he even kind of gave me his neck, sat back.
Now he's in real trouble.
I've been in that position, like, multiple times. And there's not, like, I've never tapped. It's funny how you feel things when you're in the cage, like you feel it and it will like physically stop working, but it doesn't hurt. But it's no actual like processing of pain. There's too much at stake. You've obviously like mentally calloused yourself that you're about to go into a tough time. Even the Makhachev one, like I wasn't close to like tapping at that stage. Like obviously I was stuck. Like that was, and the referee stopped the fight. I didn't either. Like I thought maybe I made a noise, but going back and watching it, like I didn't make a noise. I didn't tap. The referee just saw my arm like bending over. Their corner was like there, like slapping and yelling and shit. So maybe they thought like the noise was coming from there. But I didn't make a noise. I didn't tap or anything like that. Yeah. I would have gone like a little bit longer. I think I'm like a little bit more flexible than that. It definitely helps. Definitely helps being flexible. $1 million, baby. $1 million, good to go. Good to go. Fake news. Fake news. They're saying things, you know what I mean? They're doing scans and they're saying things, but I'm not sure I agree with them. So
UFC Perth, you're fighting to be on that card?
UFC Perth, I believe that's the logical next step. Like, I feel like I'm just getting started. I feel like this is a fresh start. I feel like I just answered the question. I feel like that question has been, like, from the reaction of everyone since that fight, I feel like that's the question I wanted to ask. Like, I wanted to prove that my skill level is a step ahead of ranked and unranked. Like, I definitely belong there. And I feel like for Perth, it should be a ranked opponent. And I feel like the fans, if they bring someone unranked, which I'm perfectly happy with, I believe we're financially very comfortable to go out there and do that again. But yeah, I think the fans have come out and said, and they're all pretty adamant that they would like someone in the rankings. So I'm more like giving these guys the opportunity for someone to stick their hand up. Like I always do a bit. Like that's definitely something I've added into my game. Not so much like visualization. I say visualization is something that I've always run through before my fights, but definitely like really attacked the mental side of it. Yeah, you can't like cookie cutter. I've worked with David Eagle. He's like been part of the team for like a very long time, and he's really helped me leading into this last fight with like the mental performance side of things. Yeah, like a mental performance coach. Like I've worked with Dave for a long time. We started out, you know, he's obviously like a highly regarded Taekwondo guy. So we started out like I would just like throwing kicks, you know what I mean? Throwing side kicks and axe kicks and stuff like that. And then just from working with him, it just progressed, and we have a lot of like similarities in our career, and there was just like he identified like a lot of ways that he could just help like the mental side of things. Like obviously rebounding from like difficult times is like a hard thing to do. Like when you step inside the octagon and then the only thing that you've had the last year is like terrible shit. It's like it can like lead to certain blockages. So just like, yeah, your whole mentality needs to elevate past all of that, which I feel like it did. Like the sport is like 95% mental. Like the way that you mentally approach it. It doesn't matter how physically fit you are or performance based. It comes down to the top 2 inches. It comes down to your brain, and it comes down to how you mentally overcome challenges or mentally like embrace moments like that. Because obviously like going out, packed stadiums, biggest fights of your career, like it's a huge moment. Like it's mainly being able to like we fight every day in the gym. Every day inspiring, we show up and do rounds, and it's easy to perform there, but when you're under the lights, like you see so many people crumble, you see so many people fold. You know, there's a name for it. They call them like world championship training partners. They're people that have the skills, they have the physical capability to do it, but they just can't do it under the lights, and that's the only place that it counts. Like I get tapped out, I get beaten up, I get taken down, I get this and that, like all the time in the gym, but it's like that doesn't mean anything. It's how you perform under the lights that really, that's everything. It's the only thing anyone is going to remember. The main thing to develop mental fortitude though is just showing up to the gym every day. Like that's the main thing, and that's something that I also like attribute. Like the mentality of that camp was the physicality of that camp, was pushing our bodies to the absolute limit. Like we pushed it so beyond what's required physically. I'd say half of our training was beyond that. Half of our training was not just to make you physically any fitter. It was to make just to callous your mind every single day. Every single day we're just pushing ourselves to the absolute extreme. You learn to embrace it. You learn to feel comfortable there. People say like, oh, how are you, tough? What makes someone tough? How do you become tough? It's like show up to the gym every single day.
Right.
Show up to the gym, like your brain just slowly gets calloused over time. You can't do it at once. You can't like just have a fight once a year and then that'll make you tough. That's not gonna make you tough. Showing up to the gym every single day slowly calluses your mind, slowly strengthens you, slowly makes you stronger. That's why someone that's been in the gym 10 years is so much better than a guy that's been in there 1 year, because he's put in more hours. Yeah, it's a difficult fight for Makhachev, and it's a credit to him. I think the biggest hesitation with him like being a champion was that he would not be as active as a lot of other champions. But for him to get on the microphone straight after that fight and call for another fight, and not only call for another fight in his own territory, but be willing to fly like a very long distance. Like they don't usually take those kind of risks. They're kind of US or close to home. Like they for them to fly that far over the world and to take on like a tough test on home soil is, I tip my hat to Makhachev, because he's in for like one hell of a fight. Volk's a very difficult man to get down and even harder to keep there. So I think, he's in for a tough night. Mad fight, like that's all you want out of a fight. You don't want to, pretty much. And that's speaking from like experience of training fighters and stuff. Like the worst thing that can happen to a guy in like his first fight is he walks out there, like touches gloves and knocks the other bloke out. Like that is like sets that guy up, because then he just expects that to go out there every time. The next 5 fights, the guy thinks that's gonna happen. The best thing that you can go out for your first fight is get like a super evenly matched fight where you have to actually bite down, fight. It goes everywhere, which that fight did. Grappling, wrestling exchanges, top, bottom, striking everywhere. Like he got pushed to his limits. He pushed his opponent to the absolute limits. That's what you want. Yeah, it's an absolute. It's an absolute one.
2 weeks before.
Credit to him, my man. He's got a big future in the UFC, baby.
My man.
Get him in. CM Punk becomes.
CM Punk was awesome.